The volley is the most flawed technique for most tennis players. So today I'm going to show you step by step how to master this critical shot to skyrocket your success and confidence around the net. To start, watch these volleys from some of the best players in the world. I want you to notice two critical technical elements. Number one, on all of these volleys, the racket is starting above contact and moving down past the ball. Forehand volleys tend to make a U shape, while backhand volleys travel down in more of a straight line or sometimes a J shape. Number two, on all of these volleys, the racket doesn't stop until well after contact. Volleys happen so fast in real life that sometimes it's tough to track these details, so please watch again closely in slow motion. High to low path, U-shape on the forehand side, and no sudden punchy stops of the racket at contact. The high to low path gives the ball backspin, which keeps the bounce low on the other side of the court, and it also enables more of an open racket face, which means it makes it easier to clear the biggest obstacle on volleys, which is the net. The high to low framework also enables players to absorb energy from fast-moving incoming shots by relaxing the hand, which is how high-level players can be so precise and consistent around the net. Here's exactly what I mean by that. I drew a red line right where Carlos is going to be making contact with this forehand volley. And watch how he's coming down towards contact. His racket face is slightly open at contact. Now, as I inch forward in the slow motion video, watch how his racket is going to get pushed back away from the red line before continuing forward towards his target. This is super interesting. The reason why the racket is getting pushed backward is because A, the ball has a lot of energy coming forward into contact, and B, his hand is relaxed enough that the ball is winning the collision against the racket. Now, he doesn't do this on every volley. On higher, easy, slower balls, he's going to be more firm. But using this framework of high to low allows him on lower balls to open the face and relax his hand to take energy away from the ball in order to hit exactly the right depth or angle that he'd like to hit. Here's what this looks like on the backhand side. Watch how as Novak comes down towards contact, his racket face is slightly open, and all the force of the ball coming into contact combined with his relaxed hand is going to push the racket away from the point of contact, which absorbs energy and allows him to control the amount of force and speed of the ball coming off his racket to be able to place the ball exactly where he wants it to go. Unfortunately, competitive adult tennis players have been told to do things completely differently. They're told to not swing and step across and punch the ball, which leads them to the exact opposite technique that the pros use. Instead of smooth, flowing, high-precision backspin shots, they hit choppy, direct, flat shots that ricochet all over the court. Notice how on all of these shots, the racket is either traveling straight forward or even upward into contact. Instead of hitting a backspin shot with an open racket for touch and safety, these players are hitting flat shots with mostly a square or flat racket face, which means the hand has to be really firm for the ball to have any chance of making it over the net, taking all of the margin for error out of the shot. In a nutshell, this is what good volleyers are like.
Wow.
And this is what bad volleyers are like. So let's talk about how to actually fix this. We're going to look at a real life case study with a student that did a fantastic job of making this transition from square and hard and punch to backspin and touch and precision and accuracy. So this player had the opposite of what we saw from all those professional players. She is coming up to the ball and hitting the ball with a square racket face. Basically kind of a mini ground stroke, and a lot of players do this. Maybe they don't come up to the ball, but they'll come straight across and again just kind of punch the ball straight forwards. The combination of this upward path and square racket face, and look at how she's like turning and actually pronating the racket face to try to keep it in play on the other side. This is such a low percentage shot. It's very difficult to hit the ball where you want it to go, especially in the midst of a quick exchange back and forth. On the backhand side, she was doing something very similar, starting below the point of contact, coming up again to hit the ball with a very flat and square racket face. So Again, this takes all margin out of the equation. There's going to be very little clearance over the top of the net, and because the ball is so flat and straight, it's going to be very hard to keep it in play on the other side. Now, she actually had a little bit of absorption here, a little bit of softness with her hand, but because there's no backspin, it's tough to open the racket face without launching the ball too far. And so again, the precision and accuracy and confidence is just not going to be there. The very first hurdle we had to jump over was to talk about her grip. I put her in close to a continental grip, but it doesn't have to be continental. I'll have video editors put up some images on the screen right now that show where your hand should be as a righty to be in a continental grip. It's not critical that you're exactly in continental. What is important is that it's in the ballpark and that you're using the same grip for both sides. She was switching her grip to enable her to close the racket face on her forehand side and then close the racket face on her backhand side. And we have to completely throw that out if she wants to be a high quality net player. So phase one is make sure you have something close to a continental grip and make sure that you can use that same grip on both sides, your forehand side and your backhand side. There's two problems with changing your grip. I won't spend a lot of time on this, but problem number one is usually switching the grip from side to side just enables closing the racket face, which means we're not going to have backspin. And then problem number two is in the midst of an exchange when you're up at the net, there's no time. And players tend to wait in one grip or the other. And then when the ball goes to the other side, they don't have the time to confidently switch their grip and go hit a quality shot on the other side of their body. Following today's lesson is going to make your volleys much more easy and much more effective. If you want that same thing to happen to your forehand ground stroke, make sure to go to forehandpower.com, where I'll show you how step by step in just 15 minutes of practice, you can add 15 miles per hour of power to your forehand ground stroke. You're going to be able to do that by learning how to use your body more fluidly, efficiently, and athletically. And I'll show you step by step how you can take a basket of balls to your local court and totally transform the way you move your body and the way you hit the ball. Again, it's totally free. You can pick it up at forehandpower.com. In the second phase of training, I'm having my student practice keeping the same grip on both the forehand and backhand side and practice making a high to low motion on each side. She was previously making a low to high motion, so this is 180 degrees, totally the opposite. So I'm just getting her comfortable and confident with this idea that we can come down through the point of contact. Some of these motions, you're going to see her making a pretty big, swing. There's a balance point here. Like, we don't want the motion to be too huge. We also don't want it to be too short and choppy and short either. For right now, I'm just letting her make these bigger motions so she can get the hang of what this general direction of path feels like. And then also, you'll see that I start to bring in my racket here, and what the racket symbolizes is the point of contact, because I want her to also start getting comfortable with the idea that her racket is going to move past the point of contact. She's no longer going to freeze at the point of contact and punch the ball, because that just creates a ricochet effect where these two objects are just kind of creating a glancing blow and spraying in all different directions. Instead, I want to get her comfortable with the idea of smoothly moving her racket through the point of contact in this downward path. So I'm just leaving my racket there as just like a visual aid. You can do this at home with like the edge of a table or your couch or something like that. Just visually have something around where point of contact would be and practice with the same grip on both sides, moving the racket down and through the point of contact without stopping and freezing right as the racket would get to that imaginary contact point. In phase 3 of training, now I'm starting to underhand toss her some really soft shots into her racket to practice this movement of high to low and keeping the racket moving through the point of contact. Things aren't going to look exactly like the pros yet, and that's mainly because I'm not giving her much energy. The ball is traveling very, very slow. So we're not going to see the same like recoil or absorption of the racket. We're not going to see the same U-shape on most of these forehands. But the critical elements are here. Watch how on this last one, she's moving the racket down to meet the ball. She's moving it through the point of contact. That's exactly what we're looking for. Those two main checkpoints is what we're looking to accomplish. And same thing on the forehand side, starting above the point of contact, coming down to meet the ball, and keeping the racket moving through contact. That was actually a little bit on the short side. Let me see if I can show you a better forehand. There we go. Yeah, I like this one better. Down to the point of contact, down through contact, and then keeping the racket moving at least a little bit through the point of contact without getting all tight and tense and just freezing the racket's momentum right as the racket hits the ball. After a bunch of shadows, a bunch of underhand tosses, now she's receiving significant energy from the ball machine on the other side. And I want you to look at how different this movement is starting to look now with her racket. She's coming from above contact down to the ball. She's keeping the racket moving through the point of contact. Now she's starting to look very much in the ballpark. Same kind of flow and technique and general idea with the racket is what the professional players were doing. Starting above contact, coming down to the ball. Now you can see as she goes forwards to the ball, she has a significantly open racket face. And so it's a combination of the open racket face and the path of the racket coming down to meet the ball that's creating the backspin. And then she's not just locking everything down and getting super rigid. She's keeping the flow of the racket's energy going through the ball. A great forehand volley is so satisfying because it's so smooth, there's so much precision and control, and it naturally brings the racket right forward to the ready position for the very next shot. Now watch her progress. Ball machine feeds on the backhand side, and look at how now instead of coming up to the ball, the racket is traveling downwards through contact. That means this is going to be a backspin shot instead of a square, flat, or topspin shot. And that backspin is going to give her control. Precision is going to keep the ball lower on the other side. And she's also now smoothly moving through the point of contact as the racket travels downwards. That's going to give her more flow and consistency and precision, especially as she trains this more and gets comfortable with the feeling of this different direction. This was a huge transformation for this player. All of this training probably took place in the span of about 30 minutes or maybe 40 minutes or so. So if this player can go from classic, punch, square shot to backspin, flowing, smooth volleys, you can totally do this too. Follow these same drills, follow these progressions. Hope this was super helpful. This will make your net game much easier and much more precise. And if you want to make your forehand much easier and much more powerful, make sure to go to forehandpower.com, where I'll show you how to add 15 miles per hour to your forehand ground stroke in just 15 minutes of work. Again, that's forehandpower.com. Thanks for watching today. Hope this is super helpful, and I'll catch you in the next video.